Have you ever stopped to think about where evil originates? Today, we will uncover a profound mystery, the origin of Satan's fall. This story is not just an ancient tale, but a revelation that challenges our understanding of good and evil. It is not merely a narrative, but a truth that can transform your perception of the spiritual world and the power of free will. Stay with me, and together we will explore secrets that have remained hidden since the beginning of the universe. Where did the first evil desire arise in Satan? Initially, God created him as an angel, and through his Son, the Lord Jesus, he created all the angels. There is no creature that he did not make. As John reminds us in chapter 1, verse 3, all things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. However, being holy, God cannot be directly involved in creating evil. Therefore, reason and scripture reveal that all angels were created in a state of purity, and each angel is a direct creation of God. When Satan rebelled against God, he not only brought divine wrath upon himself, but also persuaded many angels to join his rebellion. It is believed that a third of the angels followed him in this act. Satan and his followers became wicked beings, hostile not only to God, but also to his plans and the humanity he had created. Chapters 28 of Ezekiel, verses 12 to 19, and 14 of Isaiah, verses 12 to 17, are key passages offering deep insight into Satan's original state in his fall. In Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 to 17, it is written, "How you have fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the dawn. You who laid the nations low, you have been cast down to the earth. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit. Those who see you stare at you. They ponder your fate. Is this the man who shook the earth and made kingdoms tremble? The man who made the world a wilderness, who overthrew its cities and would not let his captives go free?" Before his fall, Satan appears to have enjoyed the highest levels of power and prestige ever granted to a created being. First, consider his nature. Satan was a cherub, a member of the angelic class, likely occupying the most exalted position among the angels. In Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 14, we read, "You are the anointed cherub who covers. I placed you there. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked among the stones of fire." And in verse 12 of the same chapter it says, "Son of man, take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre, and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says, you were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty." The expressions seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty indicate that Satan was superior to all other beings in intelligence and physical attractiveness. The figurative language describes his exquisite perfection. Secondly, Satan's position was not only that of an anointed leader, but also that of the cherub who covers, a title possibly referring to his role as a guardian and proclaimer of God's majesty and holiness. Thirdly, his dwelling place seems to have been in the very presence of God as he walked among the stones of fire. In Ezekiel chapters 28, verses 13 to 16, it is described, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you. Ruby, topaz, and emerald, chrysolite, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones." Lastly, consider his perfection. This phrase sums up his personal and moral qualities. He was the seal of perfection, flawless in beauty. He was blameless in his ways from the day of his creation until he committed his first sin. This angel, filled with wisdom and beauty, was flawless from the beginning, uniquely gifted, and among the highest ranks of celestial beings. The source of his corruption remains a mystery. God only states that iniquity was found in him. The best clue to what occurred in Satan's mind is in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 17. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings. Pride and self-obsession were at the root of his sin. As he meditated on the beauty God had granted him, he became captivated by himself and consumed by pride. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, Jesus says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. These words serve as a warning against pride. Jesus seems to be saying, yes, you rejoice because even demons submit to you. But remember, pride is the root of all sin. Excessive arrogance caused Lucifer to fall from grace and be cast out of heaven. Beware of this potential danger. Lucifer exalted himself due to pride, and for this, God removed him from his original position in heaven. As Paul writes in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6, he must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. The fundamental sin of Satan was pride, a self-centered arrogance that led him to rebel against the Creator. This rebellion marked the beginning of all evil. Fourthly, perfection. This phrase encapsulates Satan's personal and moral qualities. He bore the seal of perfection and was flawless in beauty. He was blameless in his ways from the day he was created until the moment he committed his first sin. This angel, filled with wisdom and beauty, was impeccable from the beginning and possessed a unique allure. Cherubim and seraphim appeared to be the highest celestial beings, and all these aspects suggest that Satan occupied the highest rank among all created beings in the universe. The angel resided on the holy mountain of God, a reference to God's visible glory and dwelling place. This angel was very close to the Lord and walked among the fiery stones. The origin of his corruption remains a mystery. God simply states that iniquity was found in him. The clearest clue to what occurred in Satan's mind can be found in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 17. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings. Satan's proud nature and obsession with himself were the roots of his sin. As he reflected on the beauty God had granted him, he became captivated by himself, consumed by pride. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, Jesus says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. These words were spoken in the context of the return of the 70 disciples whom Jesus had sent out to evangelize and prepare the way to Jerusalem. When the 70 returned from their mission, they were amazed to discover that even demons submitted to them, as recorded in Luke 10, verses 17 and 18. The 70 returned with joy and said, Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name. He replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Jesus' words serve as a warning against pride, as though he were saying, yes, you rejoice because even the demons submit to you. But remember that pride is the sin that gives rise to all others. Excessive arrogance caused Lucifer to fall from grace and be cast out of heaven. Be cautious to avoid this potential danger. Lucifer exalted himself due to pride, and for this reason, God removed him from his original position in heaven. As Paul writes in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6, he must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. Sin exploits God's blessings for selfish purposes. Lucifer also led other angels astray from the path God had set for them. In Ezekiel chapters 28, verses 18 and 19, it is written, By your many sins and dishonest trade, you have desecrated your sanctuaries. So I made a fire come out from you, and it consumed you, and I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of all who were watching. All the nations who knew you are appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end and will be no more. The terms trade and dishonesty may refer to Satan's act of persuading a significant number of angels to join his wicked cause. His dwelling was also desecrated by his sin, accusation, and punishment. Because of Satan's sin of pride and violence, God expelled him from his privileged position near his throne, away from the mountain of God. It is likely that he was cast down to earth after his original sin, as we read in Scripture, I threw you to the earth. Thus God accused him of flagrant and baseless rebellion and cast him out of his company. Satan's ultimate punishment will be the lake of fire. Christ stated in Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, "Then he will say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.'" His fall was an act of rebellion against God, yet he continues to exert tyranny over humanity. His fate is sealed, but only at the final judgment will he be confined to the lake of fire. The fundamental sin of Satan appears to be pride, as noted in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 17. Paul explicitly identifies pride or arrogance as the cause of the condemnation Satan suffered. Ezekiel further elaborates, "Your heart became proud on account of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings." Isaiah illustrates this pride as a deliberate rebellion. Consider the 5 occurrences of "I will" in Isaiah 14, verses 13 and 14, as a manifestation of Satan's sin. These 5 declarations of "I will" specifically express Satan's self-assertion and rebellion against God. "I will ascend to the heavens." Since Satan already had access to God's presence as the chief cherub, this statement does not suggest simply visiting heaven, but indicates a desire to dwell there permanently. Satan sought to reside in God's dwelling place, aspiring to be recognized as equal to God. "I will raise my throne above the stars of God." The stars often symbolize angels, implying Satan's desire to rule over them. "I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly." Referring to the center of God's kingdom governance, Satan sought to assume authority over divine and earthly matters. "I will ascend above the tops of the clouds." Once reflecting God's magnificent glory, Satan now craved a glory equal to or greater than God's. "I will make myself like the Most High." This was the culmination of Satan's rebellion, a desire not to be different from God but to usurp his authority entirely. Through rebellion, Satan lost all holiness derived from his Creator and replaced it with corruption. Despite his aspirations, he could never truly mirror God. As stated in Isaiah chapter 42, verse 8, "I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols." Pride, arrogance, and rebellion became the defining traits of Satan's fall. These reflections likely trace back to Satan's initial aspirations in his original state, just before he was expelled from God's presence. This coincides with the accusation God made in Isaiah 14:13, "But you said in your heart." The 5 declarations of "I will" in Isaiah 14 express Satan's ambition to rise above the sphere in which he was created and placed. From the moment of his creation, he declared his own will against the benevolent will of the Most High. "I will ascend to the heavens." Since Satan already had access to God's very presence as the chief cherub, this statement does not imply simply visiting heaven, but rather a desire to dwell there permanently. It indicates that Satan sought to reside in God's dwelling place, probably aspiring to be recognized on an equal level with God. "I will raise my throne above the stars of God." The stars, as previously noted, often symbolize angels. Satan desired to exalt his throne over the angels, signifying his ambition to rule over them. "I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly." According to Isaiah 2:2 and Psalm 48:2, the Mount of Assembly is the center of God's kingdom administration and appears to be associated with the earthly reign of the Messiah from Jerusalem. Satan, therefore, aspired to govern over matters of the kingdom, taking on a role reserved for the divine. "I will ascend above the tops of the clouds." Lucifer once reflected a magnificent glory as a creation of God, but now he craved a glory equal to or greater than God's. This statement illustrates his desire for a position of unparalleled honor and visibility. "I will make myself like the Most High." This is the culmination of all his acts of self-assertion and rebellion against God. Among all the titles God possesses, Lucifer chose this one for himself. Why? 2 key points stand out. First, Satan did not desire to be different from God. He admired God's power and authority and coveted them for himself. He sought to usurp God's authority rather than submit to it. However, no one can be like God and simultaneously allow God to remain God, as there is no one like him. God does not share his glory or position with anyone. Second, Satan's aspiration to be like God centered on authority and control. He sought to replace God, not complement him, but in doing so he became a counterfeit, not a substitute. With rebellion came a transformation of his nature. The holiness he had derived from his Creator was lost, replaced by corruption. Even in his self-reflection, Satan could no longer aspire to be like God. As Isaiah 42:8 declares, "I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols." This pride-driven rebellion severed Satan from the divine holiness and intimacy he once enjoyed. As further emphasized in Isaiah 43:10, "You are my witnesses, declares the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you may know and believe me and understand that I am He. Before me no God was formed, nor will there be one after me." Isaiah 45:5-6 reinforces this truth. "I am the Lord and there is no other. Apart from me there is no God. I will strengthen you, though you have not acknowledged me, so that from the rising of the sun to the place of its setting, people may know there is none besides me. I am the Lord and there is no other." Why was Satan's sin particularly grievous? There was no prior example. His rebellion marked the beginning of defiance against the holy God. When created, he was beautiful and perfect, lacking nothing. His unparalleled wisdom gave him a deeper understanding of God's glory and goodness, making his sin all the more egregious. His exalted position granted him the privilege of significant service and responsibility in God's kingdom. As a perfect and holy being, he enjoyed intimate communion with God, a privilege he squandered through rebellion. Lucifer, the morning star, son of the dawn, who shone with the holy light of God, became Satan, the adversary of all that God represents. Despite his expulsion from his exalted position, Satan retained some of his dignity and influence. His power was such that even Michael, the archangel, refrained from directly accusing him, leaving judgment to God alone. This underscores the magnitude of Satan's original authority and the gravity of his rebellion. God's judgment against such sin was inevitable and just. As stated in Isaiah 14:15, "But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit." This passage foreshadows Satan's ultimate destiny, the abyss and eternal separation from God, shared with those who follow his rebellion. Isaiah chapter 24, verses 21 and 22. "On that day the Lord will punish the powers in the heavens above and the kings on the earth below. They will be herded together like prisoners bound in a dungeon. They will be shut up in prison and punished after many days." The exact timing of Satan's fall is not clearly revealed, but certain biblical clues help define its time frame. If we assume the angels were part of the creation mentioned in Genesis 1:1, then Satan's fall occurred after that point. In Genesis 1:31, it is written, "God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day." However, it is possible that the angels existed before the creation of the heavens and the earth. The angels were present when God laid the earth's foundations and determined its measurements. As the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God, the angels, shouted for joy, as mentioned in Job 38:7. While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy, all the angels rejoiced with God at that time. Thus, sometime after the original creation of the heavens and the earth, which were very good, Satan and his angels fell. Certainly the fall occurred before Genesis 3, where the temptation of Adam and Eve is recorded. Satan's fall happened before humanity's creation, but whether it occurred before or after the creation of mankind remains unknown. The fall of Satan and the angels. The Bible makes it clear that Satan commands angels who follow his orders and fight for his causes. This is evident in Matthew 12:24-26. "But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, 'It is only by Beelzebul, the prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons.' Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, 'Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand?' In Matthew 25:41, it is written, 'Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Revelation 12:7 states, "Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back." In his initial rebellion against God, Satan sought the support of other angels. The phrase, "the wickedness of your trade," could refer to Satan's act of promoting his rebellious cause among the other angels, aligning with his plan to rule over them, as noted in Isaiah 14:13. After seducing these angels, there was no turning back for them. They were condemned to a life of moral degradation. It is possible that up to 1/3 of all angels followed Satan in his rebellion. Revelation 12:4 states, "Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born." Why would a good and powerful God allow Satan's fall? This question arises naturally as Satan's fall introduced sin into the universe, affecting both angels and humanity. It is essential to remember that the same Bible documenting the origin and continuation of evil also presents God as holy, just, and perfect in all his ways, one for whom sin is utterly vile and deserving of judgment. God neither promoted nor perpetuated sin. As James 1:13 says, "When tempted, no one should say, 'God is tempting me,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone." Temptation arises not from God, but from our own failings. At the same time, the Bible portrays God as omnipotent and sovereign, having total control over all things and no rivals. Isaiah 41:4 states, "Who has done this and carried it through, calling forth the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, with the first of them and with the last, I am he." Isaiah 43:13 says, "Yes, and from ancient days I am he. No one can deliver out of my hand. When I act, who can reverse it?" Ultimately, God will eternally punish evildoers in the lake of fire and remove sin's presence from the universe forever when he creates all things new. In Revelation chapter 20, verses 10 to 15, it is written, "And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever." The lake of fire represents eternal separation from God. If anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, they were thrown into the lake of fire. Satan was not an ordinary angel. He was an anointed and guardian cherub. Lucifer dwelled in the midst of God's fire in the eternal past. As the highest-ranking angel, he was in God's presence, leading the entire angelic choir in praise and service to Yahweh. So how could evil be found in such a high-ranking angel? It was because God gave this perfect being the ability to choose, to serve him willingly rather than out of obligation. God would not compel Lucifer to worship him, as he prefers voluntary adoration. Lucifer chose to rebel against God and attempt to usurp his authority. As a result of his rebellion, he was cast out of heaven by God's grace and thrown to earth. One day he will face judgment and be cast into the lake of burning sulfur, where he will be tormented day and night forever. The lake was created for Satan and the angels who joined him in rebellion. People go to hell because they also choose to join Satan in his rebellion against God, rejecting God's offer of salvation through Christ. Before his fall, the angel was perfect in every way. His perfection is emphasized repeatedly, especially his beauty, which led to his pride. It is essential to understand that Satan is a created being, not an evil counterpart to God, and he lacks omnipotence, omniscience, or any other qualities exclusive to God. We must trust that God is in control. In Ezekiel, God declares himself as the Lord. Throughout the book of Ezekiel, God repeatedly emphasizes that he acts so that people will know he is the Lord. Sharing Satan's story aligns with Ezekiel's theme. Knowing where Satan comes from and where he is going helps us understand that God is the Lord. He has complete control over Satan from beginning to end. Now we know the story of Satan. Because of his beauty, he was led by pride and expelled from God's presence. Even now, he is driven by pride to take what rightfully belongs to God. Understanding Satan's pride allows us to guard against it in our own lives through the power of the Holy Spirit. Satan's destruction will result from his own pride, arrogance, and rebellion against God. We have just explored one of the greatest mysteries of spiritual history, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. If you were captivated by this journey through celestial secrets and wish to uncover more surprising truths, be sure to subscribe to our channel. In every video, we delve deeper into the universe's mysteries, unraveling stories that will challenge and expand your understanding of the world. If you enjoyed this video, show your support by clicking like and sharing it with your friends so they too can embark on this incredible journey. But don't stop there. Leave a comment below. What mystery would you like us to explore next? Together, we'll unlock a path of abundance and blessings. The journey may be challenging, but you don't have to walk it alone. In the comments, you'll find a powerful key to unlock a door many seek to open. The ebook, Discover Prosperity with God, the ultimate guide to overcoming spiritual challenges and living an abundant life. This isn't just a book. It is the culmination of years of research, experience, and profound revelations now within your reach. Imagine overcoming the barriers preventing your spiritual and financial growth. Picture the comfort and security of living a life aligned with the promises of prosperity destined for you. This video is more than words on a page. It is a treasure map to what you deserve. Join the many already walking a path, illuminated by faith and knowledge. The power to transform your life is just one click away. Check the comments now and begin your journey toward a life of fullness and prosperity. Remember, prosperity with God is not a distant dream. It's a promise waiting to be fulfilled. With this guide, you're one step closer to making it a reality. Your story of success begins today.